All right, we're back, third grade, and we are going to go into our Journeys workbook to page 113. And this page we're going to do together orally. So don't worry about it. We aren't going to necessarily follow the directions exactly. So it says at the directions, word roots. Read each question. Write the word root or word roots in each underlined word. Then use the underlined word to write a complete sentence to answer each question. We're not going to write complete sentences to answer the questions. We're going to answer them together out loud. But we are going to look at the underlined word and we're going to figure out what the root or roots are for this word and what they mean. How do grasshoppers survive when there is not enough food? I actually had to go back into a dictionary and look for the root, the Latin root for survive, and it's vivere. That's the vive part, the V-I-V-E, vivere, which means to live. And then the prefix su, survive, sur, that's like super, meaning over and beyond. So to live beyond, to go on living. So let's write that down. Survive, go on living. And how do they survive? They migrate. That's easy. To go on living. Number 2, what happens when grasshoppers transform into locusts? Well, some of you, or even your parents, might have toys called transformers. And transformers change into other things. What happens when grasshoppers transform into locusts? Well, their antennas shorten, they change color, and they grow wings. But what does the word transform really mean? Trans means across or change, and form means to make. So to make a change, to cross over to a different form, to make a change. Number 3, why are locusts so destructive to people's gardens? Well, when I think of struct, I think of structure, like a building, destruct, to take apart, construct, to put together. Like if I say, you will construct a building out of these Legos, you're going to build something. So struct means build, and D is negative, like to unbuild or not build. So rather than being constructive and doing something good, the locusts are destructive. They destroy what nature has built. Nature has built up the grass and the trees and the flowers, and the locusts go in and they eat it all, and they destroy or destruct the plant life. How do locusts affect transportation? Oh, this was interesting. Trans means across, and port, let's think about that. Like we have a seaport, and the ships move into the seaport with goods from other countries, or they move out of the seaport. An airport, airplanes land with people or goods, or they take off. So to port means to move. So transport is to move across. How do locusts affect transportation, or how we move across the country? And we heard that sometimes they can cause problems for pilots in airplanes. There are so many of them, they make a cloud, and some of them get, like sucked into the engine and they can clog that up. On the road, on your cars, sometimes there are so many that, they get squashed and their innards are kind of, slimy, and they can actually make the road slippery. Number 5, when do gray whales start to look for companions? Now, you have a lot of friends and companions at school, people you do things with. Well, now, come means with. And when I think about that, I think about communion. We come together with others, and panions comes from a word called panis, the Greek word for bread. Come to eat bread. That's like the Eucharist, the Holy Eucharist. We come together to share a meal, to share bread. So when do gray whales start to look for people they want to be hanging out with or go and eat with? And we know that they do that in March, don't they? It's time to head back north to the Arctic, where the sea ice has thawed and the sea plants and animals are plentiful again. Number 6, what do the bodies of the gray whales demand before the whales migrate south? Okay, so they're up north and they need something before they can move, before they can, their bodies are telling them something. To demand means a complete order. Manned, like right now it is mandatory for people to stay home from school. You're not allowed to go to school. They're not going to arrest you if you go to school, but no one else will be there. So it is an order. It's a complete order saying stay home until nobody's getting sick anymore. So a demand is a complete order. What do the bodies of gray whales want their bodies to do? Tell their bodies we need to do? Fatten up, get some blubber on your body, because you're going to be traveling for about 8 months with no food. So you better fatten up by putting blubber on your body. Okay, so now that was mostly an oral assignment that we just would do together in class. And we're going to go on now, let's see, it's Thursday, to page 114, the next page, adjectives and articles. Boys and girls, I am so smart that I know all the articles in the whole entire English language. And I bet you do too. There are only 3 of them. A, an, the. They're kind of like adjectives, but they don't give enough description, so we call them articles. The words a, an, and the are special adjectives called articles. Use a and an with singular nouns if we're talking about only one thing in the subject. Use a before words that begin with a consonant sound. A bee, a baby, a cat, a dog. Use an before words that begin with a vowel sound. An alligator, an anteater, an hour. And you're thinking, but hour starts with an H. But it has a vowel sound at the beginning. Use the before both singular and plural nouns. The is more specific. We're referring to a particular thing. An adjective formed from a proper noun should begin with a capital letter. The class took a bus to see an exhibit of African zebras. We have 1, 2, 3 articles in that sentence and 1 proper noun. 1 proper adjective, excuse me. The, a, an. And because African starts with a vowel sound, we used an, or excuse me, because exhibit starts with a vowel sound, we use an exhibit of what kind of elephants? Or, oh, I'm sorry, what kind of zebras? African zebras. I love elephants. I think about elephants a lot. So on number 1, it says rewrite each sentence correctly. Capitalize proper nouns. We also saw European deer. We're going to put an article somewhere in that. And we're going to capitalize. We also saw, the class took an exhibit to see an exhibit of African zebras. We also saw a European deer. But it begins with a vowel, European. But it sounds like a yeah, Y. We also saw a European, and I'm going to capitalize European, deer. And at the end, I'm always going to punctuate. We also saw a European deer. An Irish scientist gave a talk. A Irish scientist. A is followed by a vowel sound. So instead of a, we'll use an. Irish. People from Ireland are Irish. People from Africa are African. So we capitalized Africa, so we're going to capitalize Irish. It names the country they're from. An Irish scientist gave a talk. Period. Don't forget to punctuate and capitalize. Use proofreading marks to write a, an, and the correctly. Let's do this. Dear Diary, we took a trip to see butterflies. A trip. That sounds fine. We also saw an ant as big as a spider. Something didn't sound right there. We also saw an ant. So we're going to cross out a, and above it we'll write an ant. That's how we use proofreading marks. And Guide told us about butterflies in Mexico. And Guide? Guide doesn't start with a vowel sound, so we're just going to strike that in by drawing a red line through it. Guide told us about butterflies in Mexico. He described the stages of an butterfly's life. And the butterfly? Strike that in. We just want a butterfly because butterfly starts with a consonant sound. I asked him a question and he answered it. I asked him an question? Question, that has a k sound. That's consonant. Strike that n in an. I asked him a question. And now we're going to go to page 116. You can make your descriptions clearer by using adjectives and adverbs that compare. Remember, we read about comparing and contrasting the locust migration with the whale migration. To compare two nouns or actions, add ER to most adjectives and adverbs. To compare more than two nouns or actions, add EST to most adjectives and adverbs. So here we see the blue fish is big. Then we go down to the next one. The white fish is bigger. Okay, big is our adjective. And now we're going to compare one fish, the white fish with the blue fish. The white fish is bigger. We double the G and add ER. Remember to double your consonants if it's a short vowel. The gray fish is the biggest fish in the tank. Now there are lots of fish in the tank. So we're comparing the gray fish to all the other fish in the tank. And he is the biggest. Big, bigger, biggest. We can do the same with adverbs. Dad eats fast. How does he eat? He eats fast. My sister eats faster than Dad. We're comparing two people, sister and dad. Who eats faster? My sister eats faster. Mom eats the fastest in the family. That's because she has to get up and clear the dishes and do all that. No, you're going to help. You help with all of that too, don't you? Okay. So mom eats the fastest. We're comparing mom with everyone else in the family. She eats fastest. Fast, faster, fastest. You do not have to write these sentences. You are going to use the correct form of the adjective or adverb in parentheses. That's all you're going to write on the line is the adverb used correctly or adjective. This aquarium is new than the one in Tarpon. This aquarium is new, newer than, newest than, more new. Write down what would make sense there. Number 2, Tony got to the aquarium late than Katie. Late, later, or latest. Write the correct form of the adjective. Oh, that's the adverb, tells when. The jellyfish tank was the dark tank in the aquarium, the darker tank in the aquarium, or the darkest tank in the aquarium. You will write dark, darker, or darkest. Choose the correct adjective. It is an adjective. Katie stayed at the seahorse display long than at the other displays. She stayed long, longer than, or longest than. Which adverb are you going to choose? Be sure to take a photograph of your completed work and send it to me. You don't have to send me pictures of the 2 pages we just did together.